I am freaked out, but you don't seem to be, and this is where you work. So I guess I kind of have to trust you.
We've seen it all. I get excited about new tech and I get excited about protecting it. There's a lot of work to do to make sure that technology is safe. I'm excited about the innovation at the same time.
Hi, welcome back to Ready or Not, the podcast where we try to figure out if you and your company are ready or not for the future in technology. Hi, Rinki Sethi.
Hi.
You are the CSO at Upwind Security.
That's right.
I get kind of freaked out by AI and security stuff. Should I be?
How are you freaked out?
That some guy can program AI to go into my bank.
Of course, I think that we do have to make efforts to train folks. There's a lot of information out there on how do you protect yourself, how do you protect your identity. But like any other new technology that comes out, you hear about the major breaches that happen. And then people learn from that. And then companies are held to a higher standard on building in the right technologies to keep consumers safe. This is where I think like our security controls need to be really strong to make sure that we're protecting that consumer.
Can somebody put on an AI that's like, here's how you can be more secure? And then that is the exact opposite of how to be secure. And now you're completely lost, even though you were trying to follow all the right paths?
It's true. Yeah, you can train a model and you hear about these stories where the bad guys are training the models to do the wrong things. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, like this is where you have to make sure that if you're leveraging AI as a company, that you have the right guardrails. This is why I think companies right now, every single company has a mandate on we've got to use AI everywhere in the company to be more efficient, to get more productive, to be able to be competitive. And I think companies right now are like, okay, how do we create an AI governance model such that we can all come together and make sure we've got the right guardrails to protect from these kind of LLMs that you're going to be using, make sure that people can't poison or, they can't go in and inject things to train the models to do bad things. And I think slowly there will be governance, from a more like federal model too, like governments and stuff are going to step in. In fact, they already are to say what kind of, audits, what kind of standards do we need if companies are using AI?
How much more, just as a personal question, how much more productive can we get? What are we trying to do? You know what I mean? You get to a certain place where we're so productive that we have all this free time. What are we going to do with that time?
Let me use an example, actually. When these new code generation tools came out where you can use AI to now generate code, some folks thought it's the folks that are not doing very well in the company and like developers that are not doing well, that this is going to help them. Actually, what it's done is like the 10X engineers that are doing like amazing work already, they're able to be much more creative and they're able to go way faster. And I think that's what it's going to enable. It's like you are now able to move so fast. You can be way more creative with how you're doing things because you're creating the space for that.
Okay. So we're not just trying to save time. We're just trying to be more productive and creative as well.
Yeah.
Okay. We got to the bottom of that. Okay. So AI and security stuff can have like workarounds, right? With certain types of things. And look, could I be more productive? Sure. But I'm still a busy person, right? But what is wrong with instead of going through a security system with AI, what's wrong with having my passwords all over my house on just random pieces of paper, which I like. I like being able to see them.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. If you have passwords all around your house and nobody comes to your house, that might be a system that works for you, right? What I think happens is sometimes systems are created such that it makes it so complex that it's like not user friendly. It's not friendly to you and I. And so we find ways to circumvent or to do things that makes life easier, which may be insecure. So I think there's a couple points to this. One, I think the way we design applications, the way we design things has to think about that end user experience and remove friction as much as possible. And it's odd because sometimes security does introduce friction, but as much as we can think about how are we going to reduce that friction as much as possible, you don't have to circumvent it. In fact, in some cases, it might even make it easier, right? Like what if you could do things without a password? And we're starting to see more things where you can use a pass key, so you never have to type in a password. And so there's ways to develop technology and integrate technology such that it makes it easier, so you are actually more secure.
How can AI be used to help with security and not be just looked at as a demon thing that's here to take us out?
People talk about, let's fight AI with AI. I actually don't think about it that way. I think AI is actually going to help us tremendously in like how we do security in the future with LLMs, and just with the amount of like data that now exists. I think there's gonna be I mean, there already is. There's a massive data explosion happening. Like, think about the data that you produce on a daily basis. And companies are seeing that, right? Because you see traffic just exploding in the company. And already as it is, you hear about security practitioners that are just inundated with alerts, and they have a backlog of things they're not able to get to. And so we already know that humans aren't scaling, like we're not scaling fast enough to protect our consumer base. And so I think the only way that we're going to be able to deal with the data explosion that's going to be just infinite in the future is that we've got to leverage AI to be able to do better detection and to be able to scale our programs. You're already seeing a lot of innovation. And some of the examples of that are, when I think about security operations teams that are starting to leverage AI, they're able to get to detections that they really need to look at. And the AI is actually able to say, okay, these look like false positives, and maybe that this is all the data behind it that we've already looked at for you. And here are the things that you probably need to go and focus on. And so the operator can be like, okay, this looks right to me. They can dig in quickly and then say, okay, these are the ones I need to go follow up on. All of a sudden, the volume is so much lower. And I think that's the only way we're going to be able to scale. And you can apply this to so many different areas of cybersecurity that I think that's what's going to help us really get ahead of the attacker in the future.
Okay, so we're using the AI for the security and using the AI to look at the security.
Yes.
Got you. Did you ever see Terminator?
Yeah, I have.
Okay. All right. Well, I am freaked out, but you don't seem to be, and this is where you work. So I guess I kind of have to trust you.
We've seen it all. And where I do think I get excited about new tech, and I get excited about protecting it. And so, there's a lot of work to do to make sure that technology is safe, but I'm excited about the innovation at the same time.
Are people freaking out about this type of stuff? Because when I hear these type of things, I get freaked out, especially if we're using AI for security, and then to check the security of the AI, we're using AI. Are people freaked out?
I don't think so. I think like most people, so there's two parts to this. I think when you think about enterprise and I think about people, companies are catching up because folks are like, oh my God, I want to use this. And so they're using all kinds of tools because they're excited about being more productive and being able to be better at whatever they're doing. So folks are using it all across. I think I'm more worried about it to be like, are they using it safely? Do they have the right settings? Are they making sure the models, are they not sharing data more publicly, that you're only training within your own environment? So there's a lot of things that I think about in terms of how do we make sure we train our users? How do we make sure that we have some standards across the board? How do we make sure we have the right technologies that are monitoring what's being used so that we can be smarter about it? But I don't see a massive fear from people. I think folks are jumping in and saying, I want to try this thing out.
I get freaked out, but I mean, so we shouldn't be freaked out, you're saying?
I think we should be, like I always say, there needs to be a healthy sense of paranoia or skepticism in using any technology, so you're protecting yourself. I also think that obviously there's standards being made to hold companies accountable on data privacy and security. And, I'm paranoid by nature, but I can't expect everyone to be like that. But we do have to train ourselves on how to use technology safely, right?
Yeah, and that's where we're at now. Well, I mean, okay. I feel you've done an amazing job of letting companies know that they should be ready for security AI and that type of thing. Me, myself, again, I'm going to be the last person. I'm telling you right now. No ChatGPT for me. I'm going to be living in the ocean by myself while you guys are all flying around in your AI cars. It's just going to be me out there.
Yeah.
Rinki Sethi, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.